Welcome to Judge Me Not, a safe place to have real conversations with real ass people. Hey y'all, hey, welcome to another episode of the Judge Me Not podcast. I am your pretty cool host, NVD. At least I think so myself. Y'all know what it is. Same intro, different day of the week. What the fuck is up? How are you doing? How are you feeling? You know my motto, if you got time for a podcast, then life can't be that bad. And is life really that bad if you got time for a fucking podcast? Who's been checking up on you? Be mindful of that and move the fuck accordingly, baby. First of all, I'm gonna start this podcast off. The title, you saw the title, too blessed to be stressed. Too fucking blessed to be stressed. I'm gonna start this podcast off with a serenity prayer because serenity is the total opposite of stress. Serenity means being calm, peaceful, and untroubled, which is the absolute opposite of stress. And sometimes we got to remind ourselves. God granted me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Look, I'm a really isolated person and I'm really big on loyalty and character. So with that being said, I don't have a lot of friends, which is why I did the loner mentality episode on the first season because there are a lot of people that are very content with isolation and just navigating through life themselves. However, when I do create these friendships, they're long lasting, they're in depth, and they're meaningful. And all of my friendships have always been like that. I just received a call. I just reconnected with a friend because, life be lifing. And sometimes we get pulled away. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. But you have that solid friend when it could be years, it could be months, and when you reconnect, it's like you never stopped in the beginning, so you just jump right back in. And it's just catch up. Like, hey girl, what's up? Hey nigga, what's up? You just fall back in on what has been missed. That was this type of friendship. It was a genuine friendship, pure and authentic. And we hadn't seen each other in a few years, and it was just like, bitch, I need to see you. I'm like, okay, cool, bitch, I need to see you too. We caught up. And this was like 2 weeks ago. And we talked and drank wine and conversed for almost 9 fucking hours straight. Like there was so much for us to catch up on. And the main topic that we talked about was stress. And she pretty much told me that we have to get a grasp on stress before stress get a grasp on us. Cause the job gonna be there. They gonna replace us. The nigga gonna be there. He gonna replace us. The kids gonna eventually move on and live their life because that's the part of mourning. Life goes on, but they still gonna be here. And if we take on too much, then stress is inevitable, which is what the last episode was about, was pretty much, learning how to set boundaries and seeing there's a win in the win and having realistic expectations of yourself. I'm really big on mental health. The older I'm getting, I'm like so big on mental health. But anywho, we talked, we cried, and it was just pretty much going back and forth of, as a person we say, oh, I wouldn't tolerate that, I wouldn't put up that. But sometimes you'll look up and you'll be like, how the fuck did I get here? Because you'll navigate through life, and we have this misconception of being strong, and we talked about this in the last episode, and you'll just force yourself to keep going, and you have to really stay in tune and understand how much is enough. What are my boundaries? What are my cutoffs? How much am I going to endure before I say, okay, enough is enough? Because stress will take a hold, and stress is a silent killer. So these are topics that we have to be comfortable having, not just with our friends, not just with our spouse, with our kids, with our coworkers, with our partners. Like, these are conversations that need to be had because even these babies are committing suicide and taking so much medication because of anxiety and depression, stress. We live in a stressful time. We live in a stressful environment. Um, But anywho, that was 2 weeks ago. And we was promised that we're going to meet back up. We're going to plan this cruise. And I get a call. And she was in her late 40s that my friend has passed away. She had a heart attack. And I'm processing it because I literally just found out an hour and 45 minutes ago. I was at the gym. I finished my workout. I left the gym, but I just walked 2 miles and cried. Um, because my feelings are hurt. I'm not necessarily questioning why, but my feelings are hurt only because we talked about stress. Like we just had this real conversation and we were going through some real life heavy shit. And which is why I am not consistent with anything that I love because I do not know how to balance life, my responsibilities, and my hobbies and the things that bring me joy. I have not conquered that. And she got on me basically saying, my hobbies are my gifts, and my gifts could be my ticket to change a lot of things in my life that bring me stress. So I have to learn how to balance and find consistency with doing the things that make me feel good, make me feel productive, and just bring me joy. So I felt it was only fucking right that I sat the fuck down and I documented my emotions, but I also put a purpose to this pain that I am feeling because we have had some of the most intellectual conversations over these years, and a lot of my healing process has started from conversations with her. And this individual was a mentor and got me into one of my first corporate jobs and just would definitely be missed. So it is only right that I lead with the serenity prayer because we have to know what we can and cannot handle and find out acceptance in that. Because stress is a number one killer. It is. And that bitch will gonna creep up naturally because Black people deal with a lot of stress and we move on a survival mind frame because we don't play on an even playing field. And regardless of how people not like to have that conversation is a factor to a lot of our stressors. The American Psychological Association 2024 report says that Black Americans face unique stressors compared to any other race, including systematic racism and economic disparities. And that's true. That is like so true. And also in 2024, they did a report that highlights that 73% of adults say the most common stressor is the economy. So if 73 of adults, not separating race, are complaining about the economy, and we know that we're playing on a economic unfair playing field. We know we deal with racism and we know we deal with several things on not just in the economy and the judicial system, hell, even in the healthcare system, you have that fear of going to a place because you're sick and not getting the proper care because the color of your skin or the type of health insurance that you have. And these are realities because I see it every day. Um, and like I talked about in the last episode, we have this unfair, false narrative that we have to be strong and endure all kind of shit because that's what is expected of us. We have to expect and accept that we don't play on an even playing field. So we got to go above and beyond just to be acknowledged, just to get the credentials, just to get the pay raise. And that applies so much unwarranted and unfair stressors. And a lot of us are stressing in silence and it's unhealthy. And that's why I start each one of these podcasts of who the fuck is checking in on you. Be mindful of that because if you find yourself at your breaking point and wanting to crash out or feeling overwhelmed and you can't pick up your phone and reach out to the motherfuckers that you're always available for, then there needs to be a shift in how you are accessible to the wrong people and who needs to be accessible to you. And it just is what it is because chronic stress is the lead to several serious health issues such as hypertension and heart disease. And we know statistically within the black community, hypertension and heart disease are the number one fucking killers. So what does that mean? Stress is taking us out. Stress is taking us out. I am 30 fucking 5. I'm fit. I work out an hour a day. I drink a gallon of water. I don't do any hard drugs. I don't overindulge in alcohol, but I take blood pressure medication and a high dosage of blood pressure medication. And I'm also holistic, so I microdose and I get off of it and I juice and I eat clean and I fast from eating meat for 30 days and things like that to see if it will reduce my blood pressure. And it doesn't work. And I gotta get back on the fucking medication because I have headaches and I'm fatigued and mood swings and all of this crazy shit. They've paired it with anxiety medication because I have crazy anxiety. Anxiety transpires to fucking depression, and I'm just like all stemming from stress though. And I know what my stressors are, and it's just again me finding that balance of navigating what I can control, what I can't control, not getting overwhelmed by how heavy my responsibilities can be, but acknowledging the strength that I have in myself to succeed and be able to handle them with ease because I know when to move and I know when to sit still. So that's for me. But here's some common effects of stress. Physically, headaches, muscle tension or pain. I catch myself often clenching my jaws. And I'm like, bitch, relax. Or like I'll have my kids will be like, why are you looking like that? I'll be in public, people might be like arresting bitch face. 9 times out of 10, that's fucking stress, and we're zoned off somewhere and not even in tune with what the fuck is going on around with us. That's stress indicators. Or I'll do this thing like I'll subconsciously hold my breath, and then I'm like, bitch, breathe. Those are things. Chest pains, fatigue, changing sex drive, upset stomach, any type of gastro issues, heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, any type of gastro, like rapid changes, stress induced. And that is something else that I had to learn that blew my fucking mind. Getting sicker. Like if all of a sudden your immune system seems like to be weak and you just get these random fucking colds or your allergies are just cutting up more than stress, outbreaks, pimples, fucking stress, blood pressure. Those are stress. If you have any type of ailment, like arthritis and things like that, and they're just triggered more than they normally are, is a physical reaction and it will trigger a whole bunch of shit in your body. So that's why you have to really practice mindfulness and be in tune with yourself consistently throughout the day. Wake up in the morning. Okay, how do I feel? Check in. How do my ankles feel? How do my bones feel? What are my joints feeling? Do I have a headache? How do my motherfucking breath smell? Like, you have to learn to be in tune with your body so when changes do arise, you'll know that something is wrong. Something ain't right because, again, in our community, a lot of us catch on to sicknesses way later when it could have been something that was preventable and we could have been getting the treatment that we needed, but by the time we catch it, it's too fucking late. It may be because we don't have health insurance or we can't pay the out of pocket or we are already aware of our medical history that runs in our family and it's just a fear and a taboo to actually stay in tune with that shit. So mindfulness and just checking in with yourself throughout the day is fucking key for a trigger when you're not operating or feeling like yourself to be like, oh fuck no, something ain't right. Okay, so what's changed in my life? Why am I feeling like this? What could it be? What is triggering me to act like this? Is it the job? Is it this nigga? Is it these kids? Is it the car? Like, what is causing me to physically react? Mood changes, like I said, like fatigue, anxiety, lacking sleep. Like, that's really one thing for me. I'll be up for days. 2, 3 hours of sleep, I'll be good. Lack of motivation or focus, like just being disconnected. having issues remembering things. Now, that's something that I didn't know, but my therapist says that that plays a role with stress too. Feeling overwhelmed with things that you've been handling. And like I said, that's me. Some days I'll be like, and have a fucking panic attack because the reality of how much responsibility that I have and that I have no safety net. So it'll cause me to be overwhelmed, but in reality, I've been doing this shit. I've been doing it. Mood swings, easily agitated, being angry, just pissed off for no reason, depression, overeating or undereating. And overeating has become something like when I'm really, really upset, I have the urge to overeat now. And I know that's me punishing myself because I've been doing really well with my fitness goals. So when I'm like anxious or something, I used to not eat. And I would go days. Like if I'm stressed and my mind is not where it needs to be, I'll go days without eating. I'll drink a gallon of water, make a smoothie, like, and I'll be good. Now it's the counter opposite. But these are signs that I know and I'm aware, like, bitch, you tripping. Of course, tobacco use or overindulging in any type of substance, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, vapes, any of that, 9 times out of 10, that's stress induced. Biting your nails, pulling your hair, picking at your skin, picking at pimples, those are stress reactors. So, one thing that I'm really big on is practicing mindfulness, and that has led me to do things like yoga or breathing fucking techniques, which sounds so corny, but sometimes you gotta kind of set back, pat yourself on the back, redirect yourself, and be like, okay, fuck it. This is where I am. This is what I can control. This is what I can't control. Or maybe just step the fuck back altogether from a situation and circle back on it. Because you know you'd have been in a fucking work meeting and they're like, let's put a pin in that and circle back on it on the next meeting. Or let's do a side hustle. Bitch, sometimes you gotta side hustle some shit and have a side huddle for that at a later fucking time because you gotta just focus on the blessings and try to maintain the stress because stress is a fucking silent killer. And there are so many people that are suffering in silence. And there's so many other issues popping up, but the underlying root comes from stress. And that's really like what it boils down to. And like I said, stress is not obvious. Just like depression or anxiety, like people feel like things like this, you should could look at somebody and just know. There's a lot of people dealing with some heavy fucking shit and they still have the ability to show up and perform because shit gotta be done. And no one would ever guess until they up and they dead or they crash out and they do something crazy. So you gotta check in on your people, but also have a support system that you're comfortable being vulnerable with and venting. And sometimes you want to reach out to a motherfucker and you don't need feedback. And you don't want a response. And you don't need words of encouragement. Bitch, you just want to vent. Oh, today kicked my ass. These kids is kicking my ass. This bitch is getting on my nerves and I want to bust her upside her head, but I'm not because I got too much to lose. But this is what I'm dealing with. I don't want to talk about it after this. I just need somebody to hear me out. But not only that, my best friend that I lost was the first person that said, you need one person to talk to because there needs to be somebody that knows. In case anything happens to you, there needs to be at least one person that knows what you were really battling with, what you were really enduring, just in case. Just in case. So make sure you have that support system because to think that you have to be strong enough to go through life alone is selfish for one, because you are worthy of a support system and you are worthy of good things and you are worthy of encouragement and you are worthy of having a crutch on the days that you can't find the strength within yourself. And that's what community is about, pouring into each other and connecting your tribe. And that's what our community lacks. We lack community. We really do. Like back in the day, You'll go on the other side of town and do some shit, and by the time you make it home, such and so such and such, and everybody now wants to scold you. But it was a community. That's saying like it takes a village to raise a kid. It does, but people don't look at life like that because the community mentality has been dismantled. But that's why we're also suffering so much because we're individualized and we don't have coping mechanisms and we're so guarded because people do fucked up shit that we rather suffer alone than to be vulnerable and allow someone in because they may fuck you over. So you have to really like create your tribe. Create your tribe. Reach out to people to be that tribe, but also take the time to create your tribe. Um, so here's like some questions that my therapist gives me and I try to journal at least once a week. Man, y'all know I talk about journaling every now and then. It's not for everybody, but maybe you do a fucking voice note. Maybe you text yourself. Maybe on the way to work, you just have a fucking conversation to yourself. What are 3 things you're grateful for today? When did you last take the time for yourself? If you needed to, who could you reach out for support? These are just some questions. I have a lot of them. I do a lot of shadow healing questions to, again, practice mindfulness, stay in tune with myself, but also track my progression or regression when it comes to healing or my mind frame or my mental health. Because sometimes it's like, fuck the world. I can't reach out to nobody. People selfish. People don't fuck with you how you fuck with them when you in a bind and shit like that. But these are like questions that you got to tune into yourself, not only physically, but emotionally as well. Because if don't nobody know you, you know yourself. You know yourself. You know yourself. So being mindful and tuning in with yourself or just releasing emotions in ways such as journaling, yoga, working out, walking, some type of healthy hobby are ways to induce joy, which naturally calms a person down, lowers the heart rate, relaxes the muscles, that will reduce headache and tension throughout your entire body. Um, these are all ways that we can kind of reshift our mind frame, but also be proactive on our health because again, stress is the fucking silent killer. It is. It really is. So move. Move. Get the fuck out the house if you're sitting in the darkness. Go walk outside. Get some vitamin D. Put your favorite music on. Music is a transfer of energy. Stop listening to fucking Rod Wave and sad ass blues music and sad ass songs that remind you of heartbreak or remind you of the motherfucker that got you in this stressful situations because music is a transfer of energy. Transfer that shit. Put on your favorite song. Put on a song that's gonna make you jig a little bit. Put on a song that's gonna naturally make your head bob. Put on a gospel song that reminds you of your big mama, and that'll shift your whole fucking energy. Have you ever put on your favorite song when you was in a fucking bad mood? Good music will turn your motherfucking attitude around. I don't give a fuck. Your diet really do gotta do something with it, but I understand like dieting ain't for everybody. But if you know you in a fucked up situation and you stressed out, try not to crash out too much on the heavy fucking food, processed food, alcohol, tobacco, and shit like that. Especially if you know you overweight. You're not taking the medication like you need to. You're not working out like you need to. You're not going to the doctor like you need to. Like, look out for your fucking self. Because you will fuck around and this bitch be dead, ain't got no fucking life insurance, and you just dead. And they gotta do a motherfucking drive through to get enough money to cremate you. You don't want to go out like that. You don't want to go out like that. Make sure you have your affairs in order. If you cannot afford health insurance, look at community clinics that are on a sliding fee scale to at least get checked out twice a month. We at the motherfucking age, once you hit 20, especially if you know that you have health issues in your fucking family, you stop going to the doctor just to get your pussy or your dick checked out. Stop that. Stop that. Get that motherfucking blood pressure checked out. Get a complete workup of labs. Make sure your blood counts is looking right. Make sure you get your motherfucking colon checked. Make sure you get your titties checked. Like, check in on your fucking self. Go to these fucking community clinics. Swallow your fucking pride. Clear your fucking schedule. Sit your ass down. Call the marketplace. It is a lot of people that qualify for reduced fucking marketplace Obamacare plans that they aren't aware for because they not even investigating on what the fuck that they'll do, but they will investigate a motherfucking game and a motherfucking sports event to put a fucking parlay. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. Even dental. There are people dying from abscess and rotten gums, and it becomes bacteria and you get a blood infection. I joke around all the time, but your teeth are a part of your health, and it has so many motherfucking underlying issues, especially if you're not brushing like that and you smoke hella weed and you smoking hella hookah and you smoking hella tobacco and you eating crazy pussy and all that type of shit. Be proactive on your fucking health. Be proactive on your fucking health. Tune in with yourself. If nobody know you, you know your body. If you don't feel right, go get checked up. Tell somebody, bitch, I'm not feeling right. That's why you gotta have that support system. Because if I'm constantly saying I got a headache, I got a headache, I got a headache, I had a headache, I got this, my people gonna be like, bitch, what is you doing? What is you eating? Are you taking your medicine? I can start behaving erratically. I can start like switching my hair up and shit. My people be like, bitch, is you manic? Is you going through an episode? Is you good? Do somebody need to come watch up on you? Because they know me and I've allowed certain people to know the real me with no embarrassment. Because you need that support system because we all need somebody. So I gave some of those journal questions. Here are some other journal questions I like. Um, what is your coping mechanism when you are dealing with stress? How do you cope? What is a good way that you can calm down yourself? Because everybody don't have a partner. Like I said, everybody ain't really vulnerable to put people in their business. So there is a loner mentality. For a while, that was me. And I had to really teach myself, like, bitch, how can the fuck can you calm down? Because I'm a certified fucking crash out. And the simplest things, and I'm emotional, the simplest things will push me into a rage or a fucking depression. So I had to learn how to calm my fucking self down. What is your primary stressor in life right now? Can you control it? And if so, what is that solution? If you cannot control it, how can you work on letting it be? Anywho, that's all I got for y'all. I just really want you to know, if you are taking the time to listen, life ain't that bad. If you have the luxury to sit and listen to a podcast, I appreciate you for listening to me for one. But baby, life ain't that bad. It's not as bad as you think it is. It's not as bad as you think it is if you have time for a podcast. Reshift your mind frame. Reshift that fucking energy. Do things to boost that positive energy within you and seek what you speak until you see what you said. Once we shift our mind frame and we shift our spirit, whether it's music, getting outside, it will naturally, it will naturally take a hold. And all of that will have an effect on stress. Adulting fucking sucks. It's always going to suck and it's always going to be fucking hard. So it is up to us to love ourselves enough to learn how to cope. Because at the end of the day, baby, you really are too blessed to be stressed. That's it. That's all. Bye, y'all.